Live from Los Angeles.
911, what is your emergency?
Here in Hollywood now.
2 counts of murder,
Injury and death.
Oh my God!
Shocking new details.
that has stunned the entertainment world.
This makes me a little nervous.
The hair stood up on my arms.
Just like in the movies.
What do you call this thing anyway?
Death.
In entertainment.
Greetings, Deado Universe.
What's up?
How's everybody doing? My name is Kyle Plouffe.
I'm Ben Kissel, and today I cannot wait to bring you this story. Oh, it's a long one, just like the man's penis. John Holmes and the Wonderland murders. Mm-hmm. Before we get into it, I do want to say some of the nicknames for John Holmes because they are the single greatest nicknames any man could ever have, although he might be one of the worst people to ever claim to be a man.
Yeah.
My favorite, because his penis is so large, they called him the reverse birth.
Wow.
The reverse birth. Isn't that amazing? Big John, obviously, common. Long John Wad, can't go wrong with that. The Duke of Wad, and another one of my favorites, John Footlong.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Also, Dennis Rodman, move over because we got Wadzilla in town. And of course, the Sheriff of Grottingham.
Oh, man.
Isn't that amazing?
That's
His Wikipedia
good.
Page has an entire chapter just dedicated to penis size. Isn't that great? But it's not negative.
Yeah, it's like 13 inches, something like that.
They said 13 and a half inches. One person said that it goes as long as 16 inches. He's definitely a grower and a shower.
Wow.
But a person named Bill Amerson says that he saw John measure himself many times, and it was 13 and a half inches with a head the size of an apple.
Wow. That's very top heavy.
But he didn't use it as the weapon in the Wonderland murders.
Right.
Well, he used it as a weapon in many other ways. Anyway, John Holmes and the Wonderland murders. Let's get into it.
Without further ado, let's get into the Johnny Wad cast.
Whoa.
So before Wonderland, before Johnny Wad, before the blood and betrayal, there was just a boy from Ohio.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
The Midwest does grow the big dongs. Yeah. They really do.
Do they?
Yeah, it's a hardy bunch.
John Curtis Estes. That was his original last name.
Okay.
He was born August 8th, 1944 in Pickaway County, Ohio.
Wow.
It's a poor rural area.
Yeah, Pickaway, it sounds like Scabby Town.
Yeah, it's very methy.
Right, Pickaway. That's definitely the after, or the before picture on every before and after billboard, hopefully regarding recovery.
Yeah. His childhood was very unstable. His father was an alcoholic, and he abandoned the family early on.
You tell me a porn star had an unstable childhood?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's weird that a male porn star would have an unstable childhood. You'd think like it's just the line of work every guy wants to go into is just fuck a bunch of chicks on camera.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I can't even think of a worse destiny for me.
Yeah?
Oh, my Lord. I would be absolutely embarrassed. A bunch of loose skin flying around, no one happy.
Yeah.
I think that the emotions that take someone into porn for both men and female are the same, because they want to be loved, they want to be seen. And what's the most superficial way to get somebody to love you? It's to fuck them.
Yeah, that's true. His mother remarried multiple times, and some say John's early life taught him how to survive and how to lie.
Okay, I believe that.
He was the youngest of 4 children, born to 26-year-old Mary June Holmes.
Nice.
But the name of his father, railroad worker Carl Estes, was left blank on the birth certificate.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because he went on to be a rail worker in his own right.
Hey. Mary married Edgar Harvey Holmes, and that's how he got his name.
Okay.
His last name. This guy, she married and divorced him 3 separate times.
Dude, there was a family that did that in my hometown of Stevens Point, and I think the 4th marriage stuck.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute.
It's like they're renewing their divorce instead of renewing their vows.
Exactly.
They got married April 13th, 1936, August 13th, 1945, and September 12th, 1947. So that spans a lot of years.
It really does. And at what point do you get the wedding invitation and just say no? I'm not traveling anymore. I'm done.
Well, at what point do you get asked to be married by the same guy and you say no?
Right.
They never did.
Is the third wedding the absolute best because all they do is a keg of beer and a couple of Lunchables?
Yeah.
Because you know this might be another temporary engagement.
Right. When they first got married, Edgar was 34 years old and already divorced, but from someone else.
All right.
And Mary was 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But on the younger side.
So in 1960, Holmes left the home at age 15 and enlisted in the United States Army.
Well, thank you for your service.
Memorial Day week.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really interesting when you go in and say, sir, I want to be an armyman. And they say, you don't look big and strong enough for us. And then you drop trow and they say, sir, you're exactly what we're looking for.
You are the weapon.
Yep. We'll give you 2 helmets.
He needed his mother's written permission to go off to war, so that's crazy.
My mom never would have given it.
Benjamin's staying home.
Absolutely. I went through a phase, I've told people, I wanted to be a police officer for like 6 months. And she's like, have you thought about something safer? Immediately.
Yeah.
You can get shot anywhere.
That's true.
You can get shot anywhere.
Yeah. He spent most of the 3 years of his military service in West Germany in the Signal Corps,
Okay.
and he got honorably discharged in 1963.
And that would not be his first discharge.
Hey. Then he moved to this town, Los Angeles, California.
Am I just going to get a bunch of A's tonight? Hey, what is this? What is this reaction? I feel like I'm doing the Jersey circuit. Hey,
The Poconos.
this is gold.
He worked a variety of jobs, including selling goods door to door and tending the vats at a coffee nips factory.
What are coffee nips?
They are nipples tasting like coffee.
Really?
I don't know.
Coffee nips?
No, I think it's like small coffees.
I mean, that does sound like a New Jersey breastfeeding. Be like, nah, my kid likes his cigars and his coffee nipples taste like coffee.
During his stint as he was an ambulance driver after this,
Oh, thank you.
he met a nurse named Sharon Gabanini
Oh,
in December 1964, and they married on August 21st, 1965 in California after Holmes turned 21.
he made an honest lady out of her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, we got more entendres here. In April 1965, Holmes found work as a forklift driver at a meat packing warehouse.
Isn't that amazing? And he saved the company so much money because they didn't need a forklift. Just let me look at some porno. I'll lift that stack of wood for you.
I'll pack that meat.
Indeed.
However, repeated exposure to the freezing air in the large walk-in freezer after being outside inhaling the desert hot air caused him severe health problems.
You would think the freezer with all the cold air would be refreshing and kind of nice.
Yeah. And then you go right out into the desert air, and it led to collapsed lungs on 3 separate occasions during the 2 years he worked there.
I had no idea that was possible. So the temperature change being that quick caused his lungs to collapse.
Just shit the bed. Yeah, I guess.
We were discussing this with my candle disaster of this week. For those that just listen to OK Bud, you know I was trying to boil some candles to get that wax smell because the wicks didn't go all the way to the bottom. It turned out I added a little bit too much water. The whole thing exploded and then the glass cracked. So is it similar to adding cold water to hot glass?
That's exactly what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's why I did that, so I have more expertise on this show.
Yes.
I'm not a moron.
No. Sharon also had health problems. During the first 17 months of her marriage to Holmes, she miscarried 3 separate times.
Holy hell.
Once
Poor
for every collapsed lung that he got.
Wow.
They're matching.
Oh, I wonder if was it not going in the right tube? Maybe the little embryo was stuck in her wrong tube.
Oh, his dick's so big it's shooting past?
Oh, that could be. That could be.
Or it just damaged the uterus so bad it couldn't even hold on to anything anymore?
Also, perhaps we'll get into it, not sure, but this woman could really take a dick.
I guess so.
Because a lot of people said, holy hell, when they saw his penis. As a matter of fact, there was a quote from one of the people saying, when you fuck John Holmes, you're going to truly know if bigger is better.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like, no. I never thought I'd say it. That's too much.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of girls do say that. They're like, the big ones hurt, but yours is good. It's like,
Well, yeah, that's a compliment. That's nice.
yeah, that's so nice.
Well, his is special needs. This is not normal big.
Right.
Yes, but that is a way for a woman to tell you have a small penis. Do the tongue work, boys.
Yeah. So in the late 1960s, he's like, all right, my lungs are exploding. Her uterus is exploding.
Everything's going wrong.
Let's get some different work here.
Let's get something stable, like pornography.
Yeah, well, even worse than that at this point, it's he got work as a nude model.
See, that's not bad.
Well, what are the use cases for nude models? It's like literally you go into an art class and people
Right.
just draw you nude,
You could probably get $100 a class.
and that's it. Is there any other nude model? I guess just like being in the background of parties or something.
Porno,
Well, yeah.
obviously. And then, yeah, you have your artistic, college classes.
Right.
Yep. That's about it, I guess. True. I mean, what if you became a statue, like the Statue of David?
Right.
Also, the Statue of David would look a lot different if it was John Holmes, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. There wouldn't be as many macaroni pubes. It'd be all hog.
Exactly. People hitting their heads on the bottom of his shaft, just being like, can you fucking raise that thing, please?
So then he enters the adult film industry from the nude model world.
Proper segue.
He got in during its earliest days, and that's when it was very underground. People were, really doing it, getting sick.
Right.
A lot of things were going on.
Yes, and that is one area where the adult industry has definitely gotten better. A lot of STDs, a lot of AIDS, a lot of different viruses.
Yeah.
And now my understanding of the people that I know in the biz, they get tested more than athletes get tested for steroids.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that is good.
So in 1970, we have the rise of Johnny Wad.
Oh, yes, we do. Again, also known as the Wizard of Wad, the human tripod, John C. Wad. There's a lot of them. Yeah. Also, my favorite, John Duvall. There's just one named John Duvall.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just a dude. It's like out of all of these. There's another one, Eve's Burden.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? But John Duvall, that really stands out.
I like that. So yeah, he created the character of Johnny Wad for the film Johnny Wad.
Wow. Johnny Wad starred in Johnny Wad, produced and directed by Johnny Wad.
Directed by Bob Chin.
No kidding.
The film becomes a
Probably
hit.
where a lot of ladies got the Johnny Wad.
Hey.
Put on their chin.
The film becomes a huge hit. Over the next few years, Chin and Holmes, they become a duo.
I love that.
And it's a series of pornographic detective films. Johnny Wad.
I love it. What are some of the cases? Do we know?
The case of the stolen pussy.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Case of the missing asshole.
The case of the old throat tickler. You better find him and find him quick.
Yeah.
Turns out it was me the whole time.
They're part porn, part noir crime thriller.
I love that.
The character becomes an icon in the golden age of adult cinema.
Absolutely. This is when porno had class, panache, storylines.
Yeah.
They try with the storylines now, but much like Hollywood, it's all based on IP. It's all about the Smurfs. It's all about Winnie the Pooh. Come on, give me something fresh. Give me something new. I don't want to watch Starfuck. I want to watch something that's unique.
Right. There's one of the scariest things I've ever seen on YouTube. It's the all non-sexual scenes of a German Beavis and Butthead porno.
Oh, I've seen the clips.
It's so terrifying.
Does anyone actually, and this is for the chat, this is comment, okbudpod@gmail.com. I know this is Death and Entertainment, but we're brothers. Has anyone ever jerked off to one of those? Like, or is it just for novelty?
Right.
Because the Beavis and Butthead is disturbing.
There's a Simpsons one too that's like Spanish.
Yes, the Simpsons one is disturbing. Anytime you have an animated group of characters come to life literally all over each other, I want to know if someone's actually jerked off to it. Please let us know.
So Holmes is marketed based on his unusually large penis. Rumored, though exaggerated, to be 13 inches.
13 and a half inches, my friend.
That's
what they say.
good Lord. And he develops a massive following.
Yeah, I believe it. I wonder how many of them were men.
Oh, I'm sure a ton.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, borderline homosexual, like Vince McMahon used to just love physique magazines and physique competitions and stuff. It's like, it's about the kind of adoration of it.
He loves bodies. Dude, it's been fantastic. I've been watching Superstars from the early 90s on Peacock.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon is talking about WBF, which is the World Bodybuilding Federation, and he's pushing these magazines, right? And he talks about bodies and males' bodies. I do believe that he does have that in him.
Yeah.
He just loves bodies. It's really interesting.
Let me see the muscles, boy.
He loves it.
Yeah. So he becomes one of the most prolific adult film actors of all time. He appeared in over 500 films.
Good for him. Wow. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of road rash.
It is. Damn.
The notable films he was in was The Danish Connection, which is him just fucking pastries or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds pretty top chef.
Cheese Danish.
I love that. Well, I mean, even if it's a raspberry Danish, it'll be cheese at the end.
The Jade Pussycat from 1977.
That's kind of a fun name, Jade Pussycat. Definitely a mystery. Definitely sounds like a mystery.
His image helps drive the success of adult movies during what is now called the golden age of porn, like I said.
Yes, exactly.
So,
I mean, this is the golden age. Is this technically the golden age of cinema as well?
well, cinema was early on. That was like
Okay.
early Hollywood, 40s and stuff. Maybe
Okay.
before, around that time. When it's going from like the silent to talkies.
Right, and in this case, it's the Monies.
Yeah.
They also say his ejaculate volume was huge.
Oh, yeah. You got to eat a lot of celery.
Yeah, not just the volume of films, but the actual cum that he could create. Really remarkable.
So 1977 and 1978, Holmes' life begins to unravel.
Oh, no. Porno wasn't stable? Mm-mm. Damn.
He was increasingly using cocaine and freebase.
That's the amazing thing, that he still had the voluptuous amount of frothy cream and being able to stay hard. Cocaine is not a get-me-hard drug, at least from my understanding.
No, you need to do like Viagra with it usually.
But they didn't have the V back then, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so this guy was just doing it.
He just had to do it with his mind.
Sheer will.
Unbelievable. What a talent. Like Bo Jackson. He never practiced, Bo.
No.
And nor did Holmes have to.
No, but now he starts missing shoots. He's becoming unreliable.
Oh.
And his health is deteriorating.
And he's not that old at this time, right?
No.
Maybe late 20s, early 30s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This should be your prime.
I know. By 1978, most mainstream adult film producers won't even touch him.
Well, that's really the most offensive thing you can not do to a porn star.
They're not supposed to touch him anyway. They're not going to hire him, and his marriage ends up going into flames too.
I do think it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing to be married and do porn. A lot of porn stars have talked about how difficult their love life is.
Yeah. He was a man consumed by his own legend. Holmes was now broke, desperate, and spiraling into the shadows of Los Angeles.
I mean, the dude can get $20 whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He's one zipper away from $20 at any time.
That's true. But enter the Wonderland Gang.
Uh-oh.
They were small-time players with big ambitions. Based at 8763 Wonderland Avenue in Laurel Canyon.
All right, just listen to our Little Rascals episode. We're done.
Yeah.
They just sound like the Little Rascals have all grown up. And we're the Wonderland Gang now.
The gang was made up of 4 main members.
That's a friend group.
It is.
Is that a gang?
Like, that's not a gang.
Come on.
That's a handful of people.
That is.
Yeah. Ron Lanius, he's a violent ex-con and the gang's cold-blooded leader. Billy Deverell, he's Ron's second in command, more level-headed. Joy Miller was Billy's girlfriend and the leaseholder of the house they stayed at.
Okay, so she was the one that actually had her shit together.
Yeah, she's on the lease and she's like, "Hey, I'm in the gang too, right?" They're like, "Yeah, thanks for the house."
Yeah, Joy. Yes, yeah, that's right.
And David Lind, he was a user, hustler, and longtime friend of Ron's.
I don't like any friend group that has delineated roles.
Yeah.
That is so lame. I'm the leader, guys.
Hey.
Like, what is happening? I thought we were just going to Vegas.
They sold drugs, mostly cocaine and heroin, and partied hard. The Wonderland house was a 24/7 den of drugs, sex, and criminal scheming.
I would love to be a fly on the wall. So here's the thing. We're going to the bank. What if we're the money? We kidnap ourselves, you see?
John Holmes began frequenting Wonderland, of course, because he loves cocaine.
Right, that'll do it.
And, they have floors to sleep on and everything.
I was going to say he probably can rest there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first, he was just another hanger-on, trading information for drugs. So that's the thing. He's like, "Hey, I got the word on the street."
What's the word on the street?
Like, "You got any money?" He's like, "Nah, but that guy was standing over there."
Here's $5.
No,
Thank
here's
you for
some
letting us
cocaine.
know that guy is. Oh, here's $5 worth of cocaine. Yeah. Which is just enough to keep him hooked.
Yeah. He started running errands for them. He was a nice little task rabbit.
Wow.
Errand runner. That's not good to be the errand boy. You're the biggest porn star in the world.
Right.
And now you're Wonderland Gang's errand boy.
You can just see him pole vaulting down the down the sidewalk and like, "I got to get these blueberry muffins to the gang."
Goosh, goosh, goosh.
Good God. It's like that Doc Ock character from Spider-Man. Doc Cock.
Yeah.
Boom.
Hey.
And boom goes the dynamite.
He also had something that others didn't, besides a huge hog.
Right, of course.
Access. Through Holmes,
Okay.
The gang was introduced to Eddie Nash, a wealthy nightclub owner with serious criminal ties.
Ooh, sounds like the Penguin.
And that's when everything began to fall apart.
Dang.
His name was Adel Nasrallah. And that's he goes by Eddie Nash.
Oh, okay. But
It flows a little bit better.
Yeah, Adel doesn't really work.
Adel Nasrallah.
Okay.
He was a Palestinian-born entrepreneur who made millions running nightclubs, including the legendary Starwood. He was charismatic, powerful, and ruthless.
I believe it.
By the early 1980s, Nash had become a shadowy figure in LA's underground, allegedly involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and possibly murder.
Murder. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say probably murder.
Yeah, there's a rub here.
Okay. Oh.
Hey.
Yes, there is.
Holmes owed Nash money, and in a bid to stay in Nash's good graces, he brought Wonderland to him. A decision that would trigger a domino effect of violence. Because these Wonderland morons,
Right.
they go in and they're working with Eddie Nash. They've made it to the big time now.
So this, for them, they're like, we're moving on up.
Yeah, we're in.
Thank you, Wizard of Wad. You've done it again.
Hey. And then, instead of being appreciative of that, they start sizing up Nash.
They're morons.
They're absolutely the dumbest fucking people.
Exactly. So it would be, life is so much easier when you work with someone as opposed to against.
Can't we all just get along?
Please.
They saw a fat target. Drugs, cash, and valuables.
Guys, I don't mind you seeing me as a target, but the fat thing? Could we just, come on.
What they didn't realize, though, was that Nash was watching them, too. But that makes sense. He's bringing them into $1 million scheme.
Of course.
He has to be watching them. You can't trust everybody.
No, it's a mirror of morons.
By early summer 1981, the Wonderland Gang was strapped for cash and itching for a big score. Holmes, broke and desperate, offered them an opportunity they couldn't resist.
Well, I'm itching. It could either be for a big score or all this chlamydia.
This herp.
Yeah, it might be the herb.
He told them about Nash's house in Studio City, a fortress filled with money, drugs, and jewelry.
That's right near us, too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Holmes had been there many times, and he knew the layout. He knew the security. And most importantly, fucking Eddie Nash gave him the key.
What? He
What?
gave him a key?
Here's a key to my house, pal.
You barely have a key to my house.
I know.
And you don't even have a 13.5-inch dong.
Oh, no.
Another great name, Big John Phallus. That's what they, Big John Phallus. That sounds like a lawyer.
Yeah. According to court testimony, John Holmes left a sliding glass door unlocked during a visit to Nash's house, allowing the Wonderland crew to slip inside that night.
So Scooby-Doo.
On June 29th, 1981, they made their move. 4 men, Ron, Billy, David, and an associate named Tracy McCourt.
So Joy didn't show up?
No, she's busy holding down the
She had to just stay at the house.
Yeah, make sure the lease is taken care of. I just signed it at the beginning of the year. Yeah, they might come
Just
back.
look at it. Just look at the lease for a while.
Just read through it.
Yeah.
They all drive to Nash's home in the early hours of the morning. They entered with shotguns, handguns, and they surprised Nash and his bodyguard, Gregory Dials. Nash was beaten, pistol whipped, and robbed.
Nash and Dials sounds like a great 80s sitcom.
Hell yeah.
They always find themselves in trouble, but they always find a way into more trouble.
The gang ended up making off with a treasure trove. $1.2 million in drugs, money, and valuables.
Oh my God, dang.
Holmes-
And this is 81, right?
81.
That's a lot more money than it is today.
Yeah, it's like triple. Or
Maybe even more.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's crazy. Holmes was allegedly seen by both Nash and Dials during the robbery. So they're getting beaten.
Oh my
They see him in the distance, like sneaking away.
Right. Hey, John, we see you. I'm not John Holmes. I'm Johnny the Wad.
I'm a different guy.
I'm a different guy.
He made a critical mistake. In the chaos, Holmes dropped a piece of jewelry, a gold cigarette case, while loading up the loot at the Wonderland house.
I do love the idea of a gold cigarette case because it's like, yeah, I do trashy things.
Yeah.
But look how cool. It's like, shitting on a gold toilet.
The gold case belonged to Eddie Nash, and worse, John Holmes didn't leave L.A.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he slunk off in the night, not thinking he was seen, and they were just like, "You're right there.
You're right
I see
there."
you getting into your own car."
No, you don't. But what if you don't?
Yeah.
But we do.
Hey. The next morning, Holmes returned to Nash's home, either out of guilt, arrogance, or fear. And what happened in that meeting is the stuff of legend. Here's what may have happened according to later witness accounts and court records.
Okay.
Nash's bodyguard, Dials, held Holmes hostage. Nash allegedly had him beaten, and they were forced to reveal the names of the robbers. Once they had those names, the countdown began. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
TikTok, indeed. This is before what everyone is doing now on TikTok. This is the original. What do you do? What do
Yeah.
you do with your time? Well, you get a porn star who robbed you and you beat the living shit out of him. And you make him give you the names.
Yeah.
This is this is now we're in the second half of Boogie Nights. Right? So
Everything's falling apart.
everything is falling apart. I always like to make a funny joke about someone who got into porn, and they were like, "Why?" And I say, "Why'd you get into porn?" And they say, "Because of Boogie Nights." And I said, "Did you not watch the second half of that movie?" And they say, "No, I didn't." And people laugh at that joke.
They get shot in the head.
They just laugh like everyone's laughing now.
Holmes later told multiple stories about what happened that day, sometimes claiming innocence, other times hinting that Nash made him an unwilling accomplice. From that moment on, Holmes wasn't just a fading porn star. He was a marked man.
Honestly, it doesn't seem like the right people to rub the wrong way.
Yeah. No, it's real bad.
Yeah, it is bad.
A psycho-Palestinian man.
Yeah, I don't like even a nice Palestinian man is kind of scary. So yeah, that's not good.
On the morning of July 1st, 1981, at approximately 3 a.m., multiple assailants entered the Wonderland house at 8763 Wonderland Avenue.
That's a great street to be on. Mm-hmm. I guess not for them, but
Yeah. The attack was brutal. The weapon of choice, steel pipes.
ooh.
Blunt force trauma.
Yes, that's the worst. I would rather have an axe to the dome than a steel pipe. It's that, yeah, like you said, blunt, but it takes longer to die.
Yeah. Ron Lanius, Billy Deverell, Joy Miller, and Barbara Richardson were all bludgeoned to death. Susan Lanius, Ron's wife, survived, but just barely. She was found with a severe head injury and permanently lost part of her skull and memory.
Ooh.
Which, if you're, John Holmes, you're like, thank God.
Oh, probably. 'Cause God knows what he was up to.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what part of the memory you lose. There's some moments in my life I'd be like, yeah, you can take that, but I don't think it really works like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just kind of takes a bunch of good stuff and then leaves you with all the bad stuff.
David Lind, by a stroke of fate, wasn't at the house that night. He had gone out to score heroin and returned to find everybody covered in blood.
Just see him walk in, 2 big bags of heroin,
Hey,
just drops it slowly.
Good news!
What in the world?
But then a true heroin addict would be like, hey, even better news, more for me!
More for me, God! This is fantastic.
The crime scene was described as one of the most grisly in Los Angeles history.
Dude, L.A. at this time, just every house was getting broken into. Someone between Richard Ramirez, the Mansons,
And in all the canyons.
and all the canyons.
The canyons are supposed to be the ritzy parts of town. Everybody's supposed to be safe.
Well, that's what I think. Whenever I look up in the Hollywood Hills, I'm just like Target.
Oh, big
Target.
time.
I want my house to be I want it in a normal neighborhood.
Yeah, where people can hear you scream.
Exactly, where all the neighbors are working class.
Yeah.
Where they all come up to you when you first move in and be like, if anyone gives you any problems, you let us know. We know everyone around here. That's who you want.
Yeah, that's true. But there were blood-soaked walls, blood-soaked floors. Even the ceiling was covered in blood.
Damn, what kind of porno is this?
Jeez. Furniture was overturned. Victims were unrecognizable. But yet, there were no signs of forced entry. No neighbors heard gunshots. The killers had come in silent, and they left a message. No one robs Eddie Nash and walks away.
Definitely not, nor do they limp away. And I suppose when it comes to weapons and weapons of silence, a blunt force object, who's going to hear it?
Yeah,
It's a series of whaps.
a lot of thuds, yeah.
Exactly, a lot of dead thuds.
At the center of it all was John Holmes and his big, dumb hog.
Well, we don't indict the penis. We have no idea how smart or not smart it was.
Yeah,
Probably could have passed the ACTs anyway.
maybe.
Yeah, according to the adult industry historian Bill Margold, he says we're talking about a dick from my elbow down,
Whoa!
gesturing to his outstretched arm. So yeah, that is a hog.
You need the visual.
You need the visual.
Can we be any more specific?
It's just big. If you guys haven't figured that out yet.
When police entered the Wonderland house on the morning of July 1st, the scene inside was indescribable. They found the 4 bodies beaten beyond recognition. Blood spattered on the walls, footprints stained the carpet. Even seasoned officers were sick.
Dang.
In one bedroom, amidst the carnage, they found Susan Lanius, barely alive, her skull smashed in, her breathing shallow. She was rushed to the hospital, the only living witness.
Oh, my goodness.
The press quickly picked up the story. Reporters called it the 4 on the floor murders.
Well, that's not very nice.
4 on the floor.
What are they playing, Twister?
Yeah.
Come on. The 4 on the floor murders.
I don't like it.
What does that even mean?
4 on the floor. There were 4 dead bodies on the floor. Do you get it?
I don't. All right, fine. But also, wasn't there only 3 because that chick survived?
Yeah. Well, no, because Barbara
There
was there
was
too.
5. Okay,
Yeah,
there you
there's
go.
enough.
Fine. They got it right.
Yeah.
Also, according to adult industry publisher Al Goldstein, he says, to think that he walked among us with that massive tool, like a dinosaur with that thump, thump, thump. But it wasn't his feet hitting the floor. It was his balls hitting the floor.
Well, you got long balls too?
Yeah, and it was his dick hitting the floor. He had long balls.
Wow.
And that's something.
Long balls away.
Indeed.
Behind the sensationalism, police were already zeroing in on a lead. Inside the house, they discovered an unusual clue. A bloody palm print on the headboard of the master bedroom.
These guys were not very safe.
No.
I mean, I guess it was a different time when it comes to DNA and
Yeah.
all that. But even by that standard, they're leaving a lot of evidence.
And still, you don't want to leave like a single print. If you notice you left a single print, now you got to start splashing it around and get the prints off.
You got to get the prints off. It's just a nightmare. Like when Mr. Bean fucked with the painting
Yeah, exactly.
of Whistler's mother. If you haven't watched Mr. Bean, watch Mr. Bean, everything he does.
So good.
It's the best.
The one thing about that bloody palm print is that it did not match any of the victims. When it was run through the database, it made a match. The print belonged to John Holmes.
Oh, Johnny, come on. You got to be smarter than that.
The LAPD began trailing Holmes. They did not arrest him immediately. Instead, they watched, hoping he'd lead them to Eddie Nash. What they saw only deepened the mystery. Just days after the murders, Holmes was seen entering Nash's Studio City home again. This time, he stayed for hours. Police suspected he was being protected or perhaps silenced. And then came a second bombshell. A security tape surfaced from Eddie Nash's house. On the grainy black and white footage, Holmes can be seen standing inside the gate, looking dazed, possibly high. Moments later, he's buzzed in. Some detectives believe this tape was filmed either right before or right after the Wonderland murders.
So he was high as a kite during all of this.
Yeah. He had to because he couldn't live with himself, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where his heart and soul was, but it seems like he was just really not in a good place.
Yeah, definitely not. There are people who when you're looking at the scale of shittiness, it's like at opposite ends, I would say there's, straight evil and then there's desperate. So it's somewhere in between there.
Right.
Because desperation makes people do a lot of horrible things, even if they don't want to.
Absolutely. It really is a sad side effect of the capitalist society that we live in. That's what we're here to talk about.
In either case, it placed Holmes in Nash's orbit in the middle of a violent fallout. Holmes wasn't talking to anybody, not to Nash, not to police, not to anyone. When detectives finally brought him in for questioning, he denied everything.
Good start. Good starting point.
He said, I don't know anything about that. I wasn't there. I don't even know those people.
I don't know those people. And could a man with a dick this size commit a crime?
Could he commit a lie?
Could he commit a lie?
It was all a lie.
Oh.
He knew them all, had been inside the Wonderland house the morning of the murders. Also, there was blood on his shoe.
Buddy, you got to get new shoes. You got to have your murdering shoes, and then you have your not murdering shoes. That's it.
Shows up to police headquarters just splashing around in blood.
Yeah. Is that a lot of blood on the bottom of your shoes, or are you just farting?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
He'd been seen on that tape, and the palm print on the bedpost was also his. So he's a liar.
Yeah. Come on, the palm print, buddy. You got to wash. You got to. Again, he was not aware of anything.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right. As the investigation...
Not that I want him to get away with murder. Also, I am like a little bit being like, well, why didn't you? But no, it wasn't. It was good that in a sense, because then of course there was some justice.
Right. What?
Okay, I'm talking about him.
As the investigation closed in, Holmes vanished. For months, no one knew where he was. So now he's actually taking off when he should have taken off at the very beginning. If he was trying to get away with it.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
For him.
Detectives, they were thinking he was hiding in LA's Skid Row, which is horrific, and I can't believe that actually exists.
I would rather go to jail than Skid Row.
It's a real place.
It is awful. Have you driven through?
When I was driving for Uber, I picked this guy up 20 miles outside of downtown when I was living that way. And he got in and he just smelled homeless. Like it was really bad.
Oh, it's something, yeah.
And I took him to whatever address. I knew it was downtown, and then I'm literally driving through Skid Row, and he got dropped off in the middle of Skid Row.
It's no
I
joke.
was so scared.
It is no frickin' joke.
Yeah, they literally take over the streets. It's a complete.
It's a village.
It's chaos.
It's a total, and they have their own hierarchy. They have their own mayor, their own governor. It really is something.
Yeah. So they thought he was bouncing between crack houses, staying high, ducking the law. There were rumors he was being protected by Nash and his associates. Others claimed Holmes was just running, terrified, burned out, and spiraling.
He should have gone to Florida. It's the state that best resembles his cock. And
his character.
His character. I just feel like you go to Florida. When things go wrong, go to Florida.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes.
But eventually, I mean, you can't outrun the FBI, who just gets involved at this point, too.
Yeah, that's true. And that's not the federal booby inspector. No. That's the borough.
Yeah. In late 1981, Holmes was found living out of a cheap motel in Florida under an assumed name.
He did go to Florida.
Yes, he did.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Finger on the pulse.
I know where criminals go.
He was arrested and extradited to Los Angeles, charged not with murder, but with 4 counts of murder as an accessory.
Okay.
So he's like a gibbets on a
He's
crock.
the gibbet, but he's not the crock.
Yeah, he's the gibbet.
He's the gibbet.
Yeah, he's the little dangly little charm hanging off.
Okay, but that is better for him, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just an accessory, just an add-on.
His trial would mark one of the first times a major porn star was tried for capital crimes.
I kind of hope so. I don't know why. It's like if this is super common, maybe we have to look at the industry slightly more.
Yeah. It would reveal just how far he had fallen.
Oh.
In 1982, the state of California put John Holmes on trial for 4 counts of first-degree murder. So he does get it upgraded. The prosecution claimed Holmes helped orchestrate the Wonderland killings, possibly even led the attackers into the house.
I just think he was so addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Does he orchestrate anything?
Well,
I mean, I think he was more like, they live there. They live there. I'll go.
Yeah, he ratted them out. He was like, these are the people. These are...
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's orchestrating in the dumbest possible way.
Yeah. The evidence, obviously, the bloody palm, the shoe print, and the testimony placing him at the scene before the murders. But there was a problem. There was no witnesses, and no one could place a weapon in his hand.
So the woman that was all fucked up but lived, she wasn't able to testify here?
Nah, her memory was gone.
Completely wiped.
Could you imagine how scary that would be? To be like, she just remembers you, you think she's
Oh,
gone.
God.
She's like, you!
One of the only... honestly, thankful for her that like she forgot it.
Yeah.
Out of all the things to remember, just remember like a happy childhood or something.
Right. Holmes' attorney, Mitchell Egbert, painted him as a pawn, a drug-addled has-been, caught between 2 violent forces, the Wonderland Gang and Eddie Nash. Your Honor, my client is a drug-addled has-been.
That's what he says. Yeah. Look at this fucking loser. Hey, jury, look at this fucking loser that I'm representing.
You think he can do any of this?
He's like the Andy Dick of porn.
Oh, that's not good.
No, I think Andy Dick is officially the Andy Dick of porn also.
Yeah. Mitchell says he was scared, he was addicted, he was not in control of that situation, and he did what he had to do to survive.
I mean, I don't think that he was in control. That's for certain.
No.
Yeah.
But he was in control in the first operation because he opened the door, allowed the Wonderland Gang to come in and,
Right.
you know, steal all the
No, he
stuff
was
from Eddie.
not right. He was not good.
Yeah.
He knew enough of what was right and wrong, for sure.
The trial turned into a media frenzy. The once golden god of adult film was now a gaunt, hollowed-eyed defendant. The jury watched as a fallen star squirmed under the weight of his own lies.
I mean, fallen star is a little, slightly, like up. That's like, is he a fallen star?
He's a shooting wad on the way down.
He was a there we go. Shooting wad on the way down.
Episode title. In the end, despite all the suspicion, all the blood, there just wasn't enough evidence. On June 26, 1982, John Holmes was what? He was acquitted of all charges.
Wow. And they did, if the judge don't fit you, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. But they did that with a condom.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit, even though it was large. Yeah.
So Holmes walked free, but he never escaped.
Oh, no.
After his acquittal, John Holmes disappeared from the spotlight. His career was over, which I think he could have turned that into, instead of being the detective in the noir series, being the criminal, and he's like hitting people with his pipe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they could have spun it some way. Was he riddled with STDs by any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that may have been a problem. That may have hindered his, with people wanting to work with him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the sultan of smut, but if he also is full of STDs and stuff, you might not want to fuck him.
It's not good. He bounced between odd jobs and low-budget films. He reunited with his estranged wife, which why?
Well, why not?
Why would his wife get back with him?
Because she loves him. Well, you don't know. She's got a gaper.
Yeah.
She's got a huge pussy. And so she never found a man that could, she was getting forearmed and everything else.
Yeah, every guy's like, this isn't my fit.
And then she says, you're not Johnny Wad at all. Get out of here. Get your leg out of me, you small fuck.
His addictions never left either. By the mid-1980s, Holmes began a relationship with a much younger woman named Laurel, a fan who eventually became his second wife.
There you go. I mean, that's a hell of a fan.
Yeah. Together, they scraped by. But by 1986, John Holmes was diagnosed with AIDS.
You know, John, this is just not the fantasy I thought it was going to be when you were doing gangbang detective movies.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to live the high life in the Hollywood Hills.
And now you have wasting syndrome.
Oh, so he's got AIDS in 1980, what?
1986.
1986, the peak
Yeah.
of the horrific AIDS epidemic.
It's a death sentence at that point.
Oh, absolutely horrific.
Because now AIDS is obviously, what happens, what HIV becomes, and that's what really kills you.
And if you really want to get me going, and God knows you guys are starting to rev this boat up, who created AIDS? Was it the CIA to destabilize the African-American community and the gay culture that was thriving?
Oh, man.
The answer is yes.
Oh, shit.
The answer is yes.
You heard it here first.
It's everywhere.
You heard it here last.
People
actually.
know that.
In those days, like I said, it's a death sentence. So in his final months, he tried to spin his story into a movie deal. He hinted at the truth, claimed to know more than he ever told.
So he's doing the OJ book version of if I
Did I
if I did kill this bitch, this is how I would have done it book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going and talking to all these Hollywood producers, yapping his gums. But when the courts and the FBI come around and they're like, you want to testify against Nash or against anybody? He's like, no.
He would get killed.
Yeah. Well, he's going to die anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? There's two different kinds of deaths. Do you want to be drugged behind a fucking car driven by this Nash guy or die peacefully in a bed?
Take me behind the car.
No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like that.
March 13th, 1988, Holmes died in a Los Angeles hospital at 43.
Wow. That was a fast life. My God.
He took the full truth to his grave. Mm-hmm. But while Holmes is dying, Eddie Nash is thriving.
Oh.
Despite being the obvious suspect behind the retaliation, Nash was never charged with the 1981 murders. His influence ran deep into LA politics, the drug trade, and possibly law enforcement.
So literally the man who couldn't fall down because his cock was so big the human tripod was the fall guy in this case.
Some detectives believed Nash paid off insiders. Others suspected witness intimidation.
I'm sure both of those things happened.
Yeah, because there's certain people they can't be intimidated, so you got to pay them.
Right.
The other ones you could be like, don't you fucking ever tell anyone. They're like, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, you pay off the people who literally are like, you're intimidating me?
Yeah.
I will kill you.
Still, the rumor mills swirled. In 1990, Nash was arrested on federal drug charges, but not murder. He made a plea deal. He paid a fine and walked. It was about $250,000.
For him, nothing, right?
Nothing. He's already making millions on millions.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be until the early 2000s, 2 decades later, that Nash's past would come roaring back and federal prosecutors would finally bring the Wonderland case back to life.
Wow.
So nearly 20 years after the brutal murders on Wonderland Ave, most believed the case was buried. Too cold, too complicated, too stained with Hollywood myth.
Right.
But the federal government doesn't forget.
They really don't. And that's the most aggravating thing.
Well, it's the best thing in the Karen Reed case because they're going to butt fuck.
Can you not shoehorn Karen Reed?
Karen Reed is innocent.
Every gosh darn
Karen
thing
Reed.
We'll be discussing that on OK Bud again this Friday, because if it's Friday, it's Karen Reed Fridays.
That's right. In the late 1990s, a federal task force was assigned and focused on organized crime and drug trafficking in Los Angeles.
Okay.
It reopened its file on Eddie Nash, which is crazy. They're just like, different files. Ooh, Eddie Nash, let's go fucking get him now.
Exactly. Just covered in cum. Open like an old Playboy.
Rips in half.
Exactly.
His name still loomed large in the narcotics networks. And investigators wanted him, not just for the drugs, but for the murder. So to get him on the murder, they needed a new angle and new witnesses. That's when the feds flipped Scott Thorson And this guy, I didn't expect Liberace to come into this, but this dude was Liberace's ex-lover
Oh,
who once claimed Nash tried to kill him.
I believe it.
They also leaned on former associates of Gregory Diles, the bodyguard for Nash. He had since passed away. So they're talking to people who talked to Gregory.
The only body he couldn't guard was himself. And that's it.
That's very sad.
Yeah, it is.
The real breakthrough for the case came from a man who'd been silent for decades, a witness who stayed alive by keeping quiet.
That's what you have to do in these cases.
Yeah. So in 2000, the unthinkable happened. Eddie Nash was finally indicted on RICO charges, racketeering, drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit the Wonderland murders.
Dang, that's a lot.
It is a lot. This time, it wasn't just about what he did. It's about how he ran his empire. So the government used RICO laws typically aimed at the mafia to prove that Nash ran a criminal enterprise. And the Wonderland murders were the most violent piece of it. But in 2001, Nash agreed to a plea deal. He admitted for the first time ever that he orchestrated the retaliation for the robbery. He gave his permission to go after the Wonderland Gang.
Okay, so this is a huge, huge statement by him.
Yeah. He also admitted he bribed a juror in his 1990 drug trial.
All right, everyone, so let's just go on with... So anyway, a little jury tampering, whatever.
Yeah, well, who doesn't do a little jury tampering?
Also, the current judge on the case, I bribed him. I bribed everyone.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he did.
Right.
That's how to stay out of trouble.
Money talks.
Yep. He served only a few years in federal prison. He was never convicted of the murder. He was released on probation. To the families of the victims, it wasn't justice, but it was confirmation of what they'd always suspected. So what did happen that night? Piecing together testimony, forensic evidence, and Nash's own admissions, here's what investigators now believe. Holmes led the killers into the Wonderland house. He may have unlocked the door or simply identified who to target. Multiple attackers entered with steel pipes. The beating was meant to send a message, but it went beyond vengeance.
So they weren't supposed to kill them.
They were going to kill him.
Oh, they were going.
It was an execution.
So it's a big message.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a message to everybody else that'll hear
I
about
see. It wasn't a message to them because the message, they wouldn't have gotten it because they would be dead.
They were the message.
They were the message. I see.
Nash didn't pull the trigger. There were no guns used, but he ordered the retaliation.
Kind of like Batman.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Never uses a gun. He says he doesn't like to kill people, Batman.
But sometimes he's done it.
Well, he kills a lot of people. He's like, no, gravity did it. But yeah, you pushed the motherfucker.
Sometimes you got to go.
Right.
Holmes was the Judas figure. Not a killer, but the catalyst. And when the blood dried, 5 lives were shattered. And the city, once again, was reminded of what lies beneath the glamour of Hollywood. Addiction, money, betrayal, and silence.
And the Olsen twins.
Yeah, and huge hogs.
Yeah, somewhere in the sewers. There's, hogs and the Olsen twins just running around down there. I'm sorry, you've been infested with the Olsen twins. This is going to be a tough fumigation.
I know their VHSs have been showing up for a reason. John Holmes died before facing full accountability. Nash lived until 2007, old, rich, and free.
Wow.
But the Wonderland case, even in its coldest moments, has never truly been forgotten.
Definitely not. We're talking about it right here on Death and Entertainment.
Yeah. For years after the murders, the Wonderland case became something more than a criminal investigation. It became myth. Newspapers called it Hollywood's Manson Massacre. The tabloids couldn't get enough of the bloody crime scene photos. The porn star turned suspect, and the cocaine palace turned killing field. In 2003, director James Cox released Wonderland, a film starring Val Kilmer.
Oh, there we go.
As John Holmes. So he's played some legendary characters, that guy.
Oh, Val is one of the greatest of all time to do it.
Yeah. He presented the story in a Rashomon-style format, which is showing multiple perspectives of what might have happened from, different people.
Interesting.
Yeah. But Hollywood only ever scratches the surface. What's harder to face is the truth behind the flash. That these people, Billy Deverell, Joy Miller, Barbara Richardson, and Ron Lanius, they weren't just victims of a drug deal gone wrong. They were victims of a broken system, of corruption, addiction, and a culture that blurred fantasy and reality until both shattered. Also, they're dumb as fuck.
Right. Well, that's a solid point. But they are victims. But God, everyone in this story is stupid. Maybe except for Nash, I guess, because he's in charge, I suppose.
Yeah. John Holmes was more than just a famous adult actor. He was a product of 1970s Hollywood excess. At his peak, he was earning thousands a week, but behind the camera, he was insecure, lost, addicted, trapped in a persona he couldn't sustain. And that's when fame dried up and the drugs took over.
Right.
He spiraled into darkness, into Nash's world, into Wonderland.
Damn. Anything that has a good name, horrible things happen at.
Yeah.
That's where there should be like amusement parks, like horrible butt fuck place. And you'd be like, this is the best one we ever had.
Decapitation land.
Decapitation land. No one's ever died or even stubbed a toe there.
No. His life became a cautionary tale about the cost of celebrity, the destructiveness of addiction, and what happens when survival means betrayal. To this day, no one can say for certain whether he swung a lead pipe that night.
I mean, he did.
In his pants.
Yeah, you know, some big cock duck. Big cock duck.
But yeah, even though he wasn't swinging a hammer, which he was also.
Exactly. We get it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't killing people with a lead pipe.
Yeah, he still, was responsible for a lot of it.
Right. He had a huge dick, but he didn't shoot it. He didn't hit anyone with a lead pipe.
Yeah. Even now, 40 years later, the echoes of Wonderland remain. The street still exists, the house still exists, and tourists still walk past it every day.
Do people, I don't want to live there.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't want to live there at all.
they say when people get murdered in a house, it lowers the property value.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind living in some place like that.
Yeah, that's just because you don't want to pay full price for a house.
Yeah, and then I could, have parties and be like, this is where people got murdered.
Do you see that? That's where John Holmes, that's where he put his handprint. I don't know.
Right on my headboard.
I want my houses with less dead memory. But I guess most houses have had dead bodies in them, but it depends on how they die.
That's true. That puts a bow on it, so that'll take us to
Final
Thoughts.
Who would have thought the world of pornography could lead somebody down a dark and dangerous path?
Yeah.
John Holmes, definitely a cautionary tale, as Kyle said. Just be careful of what you wish for, and also remember that there's hope out there. If you are addicted to drugs or whatever it is, you can turn your life around, but you gotta kind of do it before you aid and abet in the murder of 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to kind of tone it down before then. And just
got a little out of hand.
Yeah, because if you do enough cocaine just to feel a little good, that, to each their own. But when you start doing enough to be like, oh, I'm going to start murdering people and letting people inside houses and we're going to fucking fuck this guy over and then I'm going to get fucked over and then we're all going to go to jail. It's not good.
I really do hate to say this, but you got to kind of gauge your activities by your banking account.
Yes.
So if all of a sudden you're like, I don't have enough money, you got to start cutting things out. And the first thing you have to cut out is the drugs and the alcohol so you can get a house to live in.
Exactly. And do you hear that?
What is that?
You've got mail.
Woohoo! Opening up the mailbox, opening up the package. Ooh, what is it?
We've got Spotify mail.
All right, Spotify mail.
On Batman's Shadow, how Adam West reclaimed his legacy. We got a lot of good comments.
Also, Adam West, I've been rewatching Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yes.
Adam West, he won he was the best Batman.
Oh, really?
Yes, Adam West is in Celebrity Deathmatch, which is a fantastic claymation show. So he was everywhere in culture.
Wow. We had Tyler, he wrote, the gentle giant part was hilarious. Ben setting the record straight subtly.
Thank you.
It wasn't subtle. It was,
What did I
don't
say?
fucking call me the gentle giant.
Yeah, I'll bonk you on the head.
Because Big Dick Burt Ward has his dog rescue. It was the gentle giant dog rescue.
Yeah, I love that for Bert. I love dogs. I know I do like that.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Vintage Chic by Bab said, my mother's side of the family is from Walla Walla. My mom and stepdad both worked at Walla Walla State Pen, a.k.a. the Iron Mama.
The Iron Mama, that's scary.
I like that. During COVID, they floated the idea of letting Gary Ridgway out because he's old and they didn't want him to get sick.
No, Gary Ridgway stays. That man is real bad.
Yeah.
God, what the fuck, COVID? How are they going to let Gary Ridgway out and then forced us to be in our houses? God, COVID was horrible.
Yeah, so that was the craziest thing.
God.
As seen by Dave said, Big Dick Burt Ward owned the dog rescue. It's in Norco, California, not far from where he grew up. It's called the Gentle Giants Rescue because he only takes small dick giant dogs, so no one can overshadow him.
Arf, arf, indeed.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody that wrote in. Thank you to everybody on Patreon that's been supporting us. It's, patreon.com/diebud.
Yep.
Death and Entertainment and OK Bud have joined forces. You get 2 podcasts for 1 Patreon.
Absolutely. And we're talking with someone to build like a set for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to get it all kind of nice looking. Jerry Aquino from OK Bud recommended that.
Yeah.
And because she got the female touch.
That's right.
Because we would just do this in a sewer.
Yeah, of course.
We'd be like, "Dad, who cares what it looks like?
We got microphones.
We got microphones. We're good." But that does make a lot of sense because it seems like that's what everyone in Hollywood does. Not that I ever want to be like anyone in fucking Hollywood.
Right.
Because they hate themselves.
Right.
They really do out here. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. As Kyle said, keep on supporting the shows. Hail yourself, and until next week,
don't go dying on us. Bye-bye.
You have just heard
A true Hollywood murder mystery.
I have never seen anything like this before.
The movies, Broadway, music, television, all of it.
A place that manufactures nightmares.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Good night. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon.